You're going to
Jumbo William.
Jambo, how are you?
I'm good. I'm good. I have to turn off the earphones.
Yeah. This is David. This is David.
Yeah.
Hello, David.
Hello. Hello. Can you hear? Whoops.
Yeah, I can hear you, but oh, good. Elder.
Yes, I'm getting more elder all the time.
Yeah. So I'm sorry, my brother, in Christ, for what I heard about your country.
Oh, what's happening here? It's nowhere near as bad as what's happening in yours.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I can see people they are not yet, they are not coming up.
No.
Yeah. How have you been?
So my mother, I was 7 weeks in Florida with my mother, who had
Yeah.
broken a hip, but she's
Yeah.
95 years old and doing quite well.
Mm-hmm. Wow. 95 years old.
Yes, and doing
She
quite
must be
well.
she must be a Maasai. Mhm.
Well, no, well, she couldn't be a Maasai because she never jumps.
Good, great. That is good. She's a good grandmom.
Mm-hmm.
Staying that longer is a blessing.
Yes.
Yeah, and we appreciate and we thank God for her.
So, any rain where you are?
No rain. It has been quite dry, and just before our friends came in, I can show you right now. We are I'm buying the cow feed for my animals.
Right.
I mean the barley from the northern side of Narok, the Narok North, where Kelvin live.
Yes, I know. He showed me pictures.
Yeah, you can see. These are the feeds.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you can see.
Yes.
Yeah, so we buy the cow feed for our animals because the area is quite dry. Our animals are dying each and every day. They are not even able to wake up for themselves. You should be supporting a cow to wake up. Yeah, and yeah, hopefully God will bring us rain, will provide us rain.
Yep. Well, you do need the rain, that's for sure.
Yeah, we really need the rain.
Here, our rainy season starts this weekend.
Well, it rained last weekend.
No, this coming weekend is the beginning of what is likely the beginning of our rainy season.
Oh, it will be great.
But it has been.
Sometime does it come that much dry like our area here?
Well, our seasons are a little different. I live in a very rainy place.
Mm-hmm.
And it rains from October until usually May, then on and off rain until July. So a very rainy place. But the quantity of rain it's shifting. It's all shifting. The quantity has changed. It's very dry. There are fires to the north of me and to the south of me, and the air is hurting my eyes.
Oh yeah. Wow. That's good.
On the other hand, everything is late this year. I'm harvesting peppers and the last of the tomatoes, but harvesting peppers in late October. Usually they're gone by mid to late September.
Late October.
It's late October, and we just harvested peppers yesterday.
Wow.
And there are still many to go. So we probably have to bring them in just before the rains this weekend.
And how do you have any idea of maybe how we can have we'll be having how to manage the rain in our country, or to bring the rain in our country? Do you have any idea?
No.
It is a part of climate change.
Yes, I know. No, I have no idea.
Oh, good. But hopefully we'll be getting an idea. When we are having a lot of people with a good-minded people like the one we have in this group, we'll be having a very good idea for the whole, all over the world.
Yes.
We'll come up with a resolution of this drought of each and every year. We're having a lot of trouble with the drought. Yeah.
Jumbo Sana, John.
Jumbo Sana. Hello,
and William, how do I say hello in Ma?
Sopa, John.
Sopa. And that's in
John, Sopa.
Wow. That's great. That's great. David, how are you?
I'm awake.
I want some of those heirloom tomatoes. They look so good.
Yeah, well, I actually breed. I actually, as I say, I hatch the plants. I do it as a fundraiser every year. And so I sell tomato starts from all over the world.
Seriously? Oh
Yeah.
my God. Tomato sauce. Oh, wow.
Starts. No, tomato starts, the plants. I start plants.
Yeah, plants.
And then we sell them as a fundraiser for Friendly Water for the World.
Yeah, wow. That's incredible. Well, we're looking forward to this session today. And did you hear anything more about the run through yesterday, how it went?
No, and I try to avoid it. That's, I want to leave that to Robert and Rahul.
Yeah, and I get it. Sure.
If they want to contact me, they're always welcome to, and they know that.
Yeah.
Relevant to our dialogue today. Maybe Robert or Rahul, you might want to say a little bit about what our dialogue is going to be on. That might be a good introduction. And why don't we start with you, Rahul, if you can tell us just a little bit about what you know about the presentation, and just give us your own check-in, and then we'll pass to someone else. Are you there, Rahul?
Yes. Hello, everyone. So we started this initiative 3 months back, and this is our third presentation. The dialogue means not just to discuss and left it on for the topics which we discussing, but to theorize on, to get insights from the discussions and from the dialogue in the deeper perspective, and then to get more conclusive evidences or kind of practices or the solutions that are arising within the dialogue, so that everyone can get benefit from it. Let's say an example. If Robert in Uganda is doing something for tackling in climate change, how it can be useful for me in living in India. So this is how we are doing it. And for the rest of we are building a network to continental in lineup, so that every part of every community whomsoever are downtrodden are getting in touch with and discussing the issues arising by the climate change, because we feel that the marginalized and those who are in lower strata of the society are getting badly affected by this climate crisis and environmental changes. So Climate Dialogue Group is a parent agency, and within that, we as equatorial voices are coming together in every month and discussing issues region by region, communities by communities, and again, uh, it's it's a different kind of dialogue that we are doing here, and I and Robert are coordinator for this, and we try to pull it up those who are seriously interested into the dialogues and want to see the change into the world, changing world. So yeah, currently I'm at Wardha, Maharashtra in India, and yeah, over to you, Robert. Are you there?
Robert's there. Why don't you do a quick check-in? And I see Mahenda, one of our presenters, is here. So we might even get started. Why don't you do a brief check-in, Robert, from your perspective?
All right. Hello, everyone. Sorry, I reached a few minutes late. I'm up and down finishing up something, but I'm on. I've settled. I'm glad we finally made it to today. And I'm excited to hear from Mahenda and Kennedy from the perspective of Tanzania, how climate change is affecting them. Yeah, yesterday we were with the Mahenda. He gave us an insight of what he's going to present, and we gave some little piece of advice on how to do it fast within the time. So we are excited. I'm happy with everyone who is on board. I hope other people come in and we can have an opportunity of sharing this knowledge together. Thank you.
Thank you, Robert. So Mahenda, do you feel ready to start with your presentation, or shall we wait for Kennedy?
Yes.
You want to start, or shall we wait for Kennedy?
We better wait for Kennedy, although I've shared him the link so that he can join as soon as possible. Then we can start together.
Okay, well, let's just keep going around. Isaac, do you want to give a brief check-in? How are you today? And bring us up to date with what's going on in your world. Isaac, you're on mute. Can't hear you. Isaac, if you're going to come in, you need to take yourself off mute. There you go.
Okay. I'm glad for the today meeting. I appreciate for the arrangement. Even here, I'm having friends here. Joseph is here, and Kelvin is here. We are happy that they will be seeing as well. The way you told me that in the other meeting you can introduce friends, but they should be in the observing mode. Maybe if you can allow them to say hi, I can just give them the earphone to say hi to the
Absolutely.
community.
Absolutely. Let them say hi
Okay.
and introduce themselves.
Let me begin with Joseph.
Hi everyone, I'm Joseph, a police officer, Kenya. Hi.
Gumbo Sana, Joseph.
Okay, hi everyone. I'm Kelvin Sonesmas. I'm a Kenyan. I work with the Kenya Police, and I'm glad to meet you guys. Hi.
Gumbo Sana.
Jambo.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you to meet those guys. They're working with me.
Thank you, Isaac. Thank you so much. Herman,
Welcome.
it looks like you have
Welcome.
your children
Glad-
with you. Why don't you give us
thank you. I appreciate it.
thank you, Isaac.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Herman, do you want to check in briefly? Looks like you have someone maybe to introduce.
Hello,
Hello.
everyone. I am Herman from Democratic Republic of Congo. I am in Goma now, and we are now under the volcano Nyiragongo. You can see it from where we are now. We are fine. The volcano has started again its activity, and We are just waiting for the government information to know how we can take precautions about this and how the local population can do to prevent the harm from the volcano. But
Wow.
at least we are fine. The climate is good. The war is ongoing from 50 kilometers from where we are.
Wow.
There are clashes, there are firings, but we are safe here in Goma.
Wow. Well, thank you. We'll keep that in the back of our minds that you may have to leave if the volcano erupts.
We are living with it.
You've been living with it for how long?
We are living with it. We are living with the volcano. Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you, Herman.
Thank you. I'm with Mr. Amani also. As he said, he speaks only French. He's a teacher at the University of Goma. He teaches environment management. He's glad to meet you and to attend this conference dialogue.
Thank you very much. Thanks, Herman. William, would you like to introduce yourself and check in a little bit?
Yes, guys, I'm William Sanoe from Kenya, Masai Mara. I have a brother of mine here. Is my half brother. I mean, same father but different mothers. So you can say hi to him if possible.
Hi,
Hello. Nice
I'm
to,
Nick Sanoy, brother to William. Thanks.
Sopa.
nice to have you.
Supporting.
You say for a Maasai, if you want to say hello, you say sopa.
Sopa, super Oling.
Sopa Oling.
Good. Yeah. Back to you, Linda.
All right. Anna, let's just very quickly get your voice in.
Am I unmuted?
You
Yes.
are. We hear you.
Good. I'm just amazed at the magic of all of us being able to see and talk to each other over such long distances. We may not be in a room, but it sort of feels like it. I'm Anna Factor, and I'm in California, in the desert, Palm Springs, east of Los Angeles, and we've got perfect weather here at the moment. And I started in dialogue with David Bohm in 1983, I think. And I've had a long gap in between, and now here I am all with you.
Thanks so much, Anna. It's always a pleasure that you can join us. David, why don't you check in?
I really don't have to say anything. Here's my family. All my sons, daughters, nephews, nieces, all here. It's amazing to see all of them. I'm especially happy to see Bidur Subedi here from Nepal. I don't know if he has electricity problems. I don't know if we'll be able to see his face. I'd love to see him check in. Here, I'm harvesting tomato peppers in late October. It's ridiculous. The rains are supposed to start this weekend. We'll see. But our weather has been unseasonable and my eyes hurt because we have smoke from fires to the south and fires to the north. And my eyes are taking a beating.
Thank you, Albert. David. Oh, gosh. Kelvin, did we ask you to check in? I don't think we did. Kelvin, you're on mute.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Linda. Thank you. I'd just like to say hi, everybody. I'm happy to be part of this meeting. I missed last time's meeting. And I just got home now. We've been moving around with cows. I talked to David about it, and I'm just in for the meeting. I like writing a lot, not talking. So I guess I'm going to give a lot in my updates in the week. So thank you so much. I'm happy to see all of you guys. I mean, there's a lot happening. So I'll be putting up so much on the library. Thank you so much.
Thank
Back
you,
to you,
Kelvin.
Linda.
All right. Rich Applebaum. It's so good to see you, Rich.
Good to be here. I'm Rich Applebaum, honored and privileged to be able to listen in on this discussion. I'm a fielding faculty member, have been for many years, and kind of new to dialogue, to Balmian dialogue. And I'm playing a role in bringing dialogue into fielding. I'll actually be doing a course on it next term, looking at environmental issues. We are no strangers to drought here. California, the West is in the midst of what some say is a 1,000-year drought. And I'm no stranger to fires. I've been evacuated many times, and we lost our home of 30 years in a wildfire 15 years ago. So there are a lot of challenges we face. So thank you for inviting me to this, Linda.
Thank you, Rich, for being here.
We might say that Fielding is Fielding Graduate University, and which is located, it was a virtual university located in Santa Barbara. I'm also a graduate of PhD graduate of Fielding Graduate University, and hopefully this will be something that can include an outreach to all of you as well as this further develops. We'll let you know. It's new. It's a new venture for us to this alliance with Fielding Graduate University.
Robert Corman, so glad to have you. Would you like to say a few things? Get your voice in the container.
Thank you, Linda. I'm glad to join you. I'm Robert Corman. I live outside of New York City, and I have been in some of the places that you are calling in from. I think we are, you say thank you for being here. I say thank you for being here, to give up some of your day when you have volcanoes to the north or drought to the south or smoke. It's quite a time for all of us, and I have in my heart many friends who you remind me of, and I'm very grateful that Linda and John have kept this going and that David has introduced us to you. So thank you. Look forward to participating.
Thank you so much, Robert. Maybe someday we can bring our groups together in some way. Howard, you're new to our group here, to some people. Say a few words.
Good morning. I'm in Ojai, California. That's north of Los Angeles, and weather's here too. And I've been doing dialogue somewhat continuously since 1986. And I'm looking forward to the program and learning more about what's going on in the equatorial region with all of you. That's it.
Wonderful. Thanks. Howard's been in the dialogue community for a long time. It's been a pleasure to work with him. So my partner Rocky is here. Why don't you say a few words?
Yes, Linda and I live on the Pacific Ocean. I'm Rocky Stone, and I'm a hippie. And I'm glad that we all are family.
Linda, could you ask Vidor to check in? I don't know if we can get him or not.
Hello. Oh, Kennedy. Kennedy is here. Hello, Kennedy. We've just all checked in. Can you say a few words?
Despite of challenge, yes, somehow I'm hearing you now. I can participate. Do you hear me?
Yes, wonderful.
Yes.
You're one of the last people to check in, so we're all ready for you and Mahenda. John, do you want to just say a few words? I know you've kind of checked in, but.
Yeah, so very happy to be here. This is, in my mind, this is precious space. to be able to have this family together from around the world. It's literally around the world, from India to Africa to North America. So it's a blessing. And Linda and I and those of us who created the Climate Dialogue Group are blessed. We feel blessed to have you all and be in presence with you. And so looking forward, Mahenda and Kennedy, for your presentation.
Yeah, so I'll just finish by saying I live in a little beach community in Southern California, and finally we're having a belated summer. It's actually hot here. It was 85 degrees. So we're getting some of your heat, Anna. It's blowing this way. But we're in a drought, no doubt about it. And we get a lot of the smoke, David, that you told us about. I see it in the horizon. So we don't have fires here, but we do feel the smoke from the north. So it seems like it's everywhere. So really, really happy to be hosting this. And why don't we hear from our presenters, and then we'll move forward with our, if people keep joining us, we'll do breakouts. If not, we'll just stay together as a group. So I'm going to hand it over to Mahenda, if you want to get us started.
Mahenda, let me just say to you and Kennedy, you have the opportunity to share the screen, and you know how to do that, I believe. And so feel free to share the screen at any point you like and run through your slides.
Okay. Hello, everyone. Do you hear me?
Yes, we hear you well.
Okay. I'm just going to present to you on the climate change and people with albinism in Tanzania. That's PWA. I want to make my slide be visible. There are some parts that I don't see to some yeah. Okay. Basically, Tanzania has more than 100,000 PWA. This is the data that we have been using, although this year we have the national census that we are expecting to hear some new statistics from the government. But currently, we're still using the previous data that Tanzania has more than 100,000 PWA, of which 17,554 are in Lake Zone. Lake Zone is the part that is in the western part of Tanzania. That is Shinyanga, Mwanza, Geita, Mara, Kagera, and Simiyu, which is the leading zone. The large number of PWA are in Lake Zone. In this one, I'll clarify that in Lake Zone by then, they did not have the culture of intermarriage to marry another person from outside the Lake Zone, of which now they developed the inheritance of PWA in the same region. So this big number is due to Mitindo Albinism Center, that is in Mwanza, and that is Buhanija in Shinyanga. The government centers that announced it to the community to send their children with albinism, that is CWA, for protection and education purposes. So many children with albinism are centered at Mitindo Albinism Center in Mwanza, and the other one in Shinyanga. There it started in the year when now the massive killings and attacks of persons with albinism in Tanzania by the year 2006 up to the year 2014, of which the situation was very extremely dangerous. In some communities, treat children with albinism as a cause in a family and do kill instantly after birth. So now PWA became like a threat. Some do say, according to ritual methods, for example, PWA body parts are believed to have strength to drive power in social economic activities that drives richness growth. That's why some people now in the country from the year 2006 up to 2014, this was very difficult, where the traditional healers began now teaching the communities that once you come with the body parts of the person with albinism, then mixed with some traditional medicine, now change it into now when the person go to use, especially in mining activities or in fishing, the person becomes rich. And there's some also attitudes on cause. People with albinism are considered, or we are considered, as originated from devil spirits, that we are not the normal human being. That's why many societies in African Tanzania, particularly PWA, were just killed immediately after delivery. So when someone gets birth of it, finds no option rather than killing, rather than killing. Most of women's marriage are affected when get such kind of birth. So once a woman now gets after delivery, maybe the child will start, her life was in danger, either to be killed herself with the baby, or she has to opt either the child has to be killed or both by them. Local centric lifestyle inheritance, in which this needs extensive and continuous advocacy. On employment, most of community members believe PWA are incapable to work to deliver to the set targets. That's why you can find many PWAs in Tanzania are not employed, especially in different positions. So the maximum number of poverty, extremely poverty, are the people with albinism. Also the issue of drought. Drought in rural areas, the main water sources come from wells, rivers, lakes, and dams. However, regions like Shinyanga, Singida, Tabora, these are the central regions in Tanzania, central part Tanzania, which are in interior from the Lake Victoria. These are far away from the Lake Victoria, are too dry and limited to water supply. This makes community members to fetch for it to some downstream distances. This has made PWA to follow under threat of being harmed, because a person with albinism has to walk a long distance searching for water. Now, because the society enable a person to be rich. Now, the PWA is walking a long distance searching for water. Now there is a danger situation of being harmed or killed. Now you can see how the person with albinism can go to fetch water, to search for water. Do you get me? Hello?
We hear you, Mahenda.
Okay, yeah. This nature, when the person with albinism works early in the morning, searching for water a long distance, then they find this, the higher number of the fallen people are now waiting for water. It is very tough. There is no security matters around, and even no way than to get waiting for the service. Those are the source of waters that around there is no way than to fetch water from the river. And sometimes men with albinism go to fetch water than women for the issue of security purpose. Women are more, women with albinism are not so safer than men with albinism, because sometimes raping, killing, and massive attacks to women are considered as weak. That's why sometimes men with albinism should go for searching for water. And now men become as the main producer in the family, men with albinism, than women with albinism. Also, the issue of global warming due to high temperature, and as they keep moving around looking for their daily breads, drought has led to poor crop production. The temperature is too hot. For example, in Lake Zone, as what I said, Mwanza, that's the western part of Tanzania, Mwanza, Shinyanga, it is very dry and the temperature is so high. It is a very hot region, very hot zone, up to 30 degrees centigrade, 27 to 30 degrees centigrade in Lake Zone, of which now it is very tough to persons with albinism. So that's why now the drought has led to poor crop production, no enough cultivation. And most people, especially PWA, are suffering from this such kind of economy. They have been working under sun, which keeps destroying their skin, eyes, etc. This is very visible. Working too long on the sun rays, it affects many of us. And later leads to skin cancer, as well as keeping them open to ritual men. So you need to eat, but you are not employed, because some employers don't trust persons with albinism. Now you need to go to work under the sun. Now you get cancer. Sometimes you go to work a long distance. Now some people now are hunting a person with albinism. You see now the circulation of problems. How now? You're not employed, or you're not going to school. And then you have to go to work. No rainfall, dry. Now you go a long distance. Now there is this traditional healers hunting a person with albinism. Circulation of problems around. Now, what now required here? Public advocates on safeguarding. The government of Tanzania is working very hard on this, to set a policy of safeguarding these vulnerable groups through via mass media, such as TVs, newspaper, radios, etc. Now now at least the situation is changing, because the government now is very serious. Non-government organization like CLOW, this is now under Kennedy. CLOW is a non-government organization, has developed productive models which makes PWA work in groups through different projects, because working in groups somehow removes the fear of being kidnapped. Even sometimes in safe environments. There are some projects, example, bean keeping, perma gardening, biosand water filters, tank construction, soap making, tailoring, weaving, livestock keeping, indoor grazing, etc. Also, TAST is Tanzania Albinism Society. Tanzania Albinism Society conducts skin cancer screening clinic regular to people with albinism in Tanzania. This now helps a lot to educate the members of people with albinism how to take care of the skin in order to not to be affected by the sun. Now you can see the biosandy water filter project of which now Cloud has been doing with TAS, Tanzania Albinism Society. It's the pictorial evidence. Beekeeping. These are among the projects, at least we do believe that persons with albinism will no longer keep on working under the sun. This is the center, Albinism Center in Shinyanga, where children with albinism are taken there. And this is under the government control. So some of these children, even they are taken at the age of even 5 years or 3 years. But once they are taken there, parents disappear permanently. They never go back again to say hello to their children. Some of them now were under the government up to the age of 18. Some lost their relatives and parents because once they take they at the center, they do believe that now those children are under the government. Parents are now no longer responsible. This is a picture of how a child with albinism or person with albinism are affected with skin cancer. The skin is now turned into very vulnerable situation. This is like, I have my elder brother. I asked him to share his picture, but he refused. He is totally now blind. He is very sick. His family now has about 5 children with albinism. He married to a woman with albinism. Now they are almost 8 in the family. All of them having albinism. He's my elder brother. He is totally affected by skin cancer. He can't see, totally turned into blind. He can't work. The family now is huge. All of them are persons with albinism. Some of them are in schools. They have been trying to assist for medication. But you see the situation now, because the family need to work, but the situation is very dry. Where now to work? They cannot go even to farming. This is now the issue of attacks and massive killing, what has been happening in Tanzania. Children with albinism, even the adults, people with albinism are being hunted. Some lost their body parts. Some are now were killed, and so forth. So this is the end of our presentation. As now you can see the issue, how the climate change affects persons with albinism through the drought, searching for water, dryness of the situation, and so on and so on. I think Kennedy can wind up by telling us some remarks on this, according to his experience through working with Tanzania Albinism Society. Thank you. Okay.
This is amazing presentation, and I don't know if you want to stop the share at this point, and we can all come back on screen and see how many participants we've got.
John, I think Kennedy is going to come on now. He's going to say a few.
Oh, I see. I'm sorry. Thank you. All right.
Oh, hello.
Hello, Kennedy. You're on.
Do you? Okay. First of all, I'm sorry.
We can hear you, Kennedy. Go ahead.
Because I'm facing the situation which we are facing in our country. So I will try to talk a little bit to add more for has been said. 2014. Evidently, as the Kura says, much problems that the people with the albinism in Tanzania are facing. Many has been mentioned by Mahenda as we prepared, but I can share just a little bit. The climate change, as it has been be the problem to the whole world, but in Tanzania it affects much people such as people with albinism. As Mahenda has been said, the way people with albinism are isolated, then the climate change has been changed the situation of environment. Even the way they can be able to gather together themselves at nearby their household to make even a small garden to get something to feed their families. They failed because the season is too dry. The violence within the family. We know when you talk about the people with the albinism, you can find that the mother and the father, they are not albinism, or one of them are albinism. So there they bear children, they bear infants who are with the albinism. The way they are being isolated from the society, the people with the albinism are not accepted even to work, to be employed. For instance, when you are a long distance to find for only a day, waiting to get just a bucket, one bucket of water. When she came back at late time, it is where the conflict started from. The men does not consider the situation of environment because of patriarchy system of African society. The women are humiliated and discriminated. Despite of the challenges that you are facing the whole world, the men in African society are not considered that situation. They just need a woman to act like animals. People with albinism is the one who face these challenges. They are being hunted from their enemies, but even their husbands who are not albinism, they cannot consider the situation of climate change, that they don't have water, they don't have food. Someone will work from home to far to find this thing. So I worked with these people for a long time. Evidently, many problems that they are facing within their society. As Mahenda has been explaining much about people with albinism, I'm agree and be able to hear from himself as a man with albinism, who evident. I worked with Mahenda for more now it is more than 8 years working with these people. So I experienced a lot of much problems that people are facing. The way they are being killed, the way they are being isolated, the poor lives they are living. Mahenda has been mentioned one example of people with albinism, the one who have 8 children from his family. I know because I've been visiting him, seeing the way he's suffering with his family. No one is giving food. No one can help him to take those children to the school. No one can assist them in enemies even to get water. So the climate change, it leads to miserable life to the people, all people, but especially people with the albinism who are facing much challenges, being hunted. They cannot even move from. You hear me?
Yes.
Hello? Yes, they cannot even work so far. As the climate change is drought, some maybe, for instance, me, I'm not albinism. I can carry even fire to take somewhere there. I can carry even a stone, can say something. But how about the people with albinism? The sun, it is rising. He or she cannot work on the sun. And then no one can employ him or her. Then nowhere to cultivate, to plant even maize or whatever, so that they can get food. So this can evidence the way albinism are living a miserable life as it's been seen or living in the society, the way they are being isolated from the society. Even if they are facing these challenges, there is one who can care them. So they keep on gathering in their houses. Sometimes they be killed because the climate change has brought a very impact to the society, especially these people with albinism, who are the victims. Really, they are the victims of the environment changes in the world. We evidently many things. We have seen a lot of things. We have seen people killing, die because of different circumstances. People with albinism, even them, if they are bearing the albinism, they just keep them inside because they fear to be killed, or they just take the infant and go and throw because they don't have food to feed them. They don't have anything to give them. So they are afraid to keep them while they are empty. Their stomachs are empty. They don't have money. They don't have the medicine. The skin cancer due to the high temperature. So we have tried as Clow at the way Kulu has been said with my friend David is there. Can also say about this. Mr. David was the one who made me to work with these people very closely because he's the one who introduced and give assistance. He tried to give them grasses, to give them the project water, from them. It was just helping them somehow because this helped them together, themselves together, and work without fearing than someone to move himself or her to go and find what to feed their families. So the impact of climate change, it is a challenge to the world, especially to people with albinism in Tanzania. As we have said, Mahinda said, that you have to step ahead or to see a way which we can come up with it, especially to these vulnerable groups who are much affected from the circumstances caused by climate change in the world, especially in Tanzania. I would like to end there so that I can allow the continuation of our dialogue. Thank you. I'm Kennedy again from Tanzania. I'm the executive director of CLOW, Community Life and Relation Organization. I'm working with Kura as my member also. We are welcome and can leave on the chair to continue with our dialogue. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
If you could hear me. Yes, thank you. Glad we get you and Kennedy. And so Lynn and I just communicated in terms of what we might do next. And but this presentation, this presentation has been stunning. I am, and maybe Kennedy, I think you're getting some background, maybe some background noise. I'm speechless in terms of what we've heard, and so we want to enter into a dialogue. And I think rather than moving into separate breakouts, Linda, I think you and I agree that we should just stay in group. So if you're not speaking, if you could mute.
Yes, Kennedy, I think if you could put yourself on mute, we're hearing a lot of wind.
I just did that. And so the process we will enter into at this point is group dialogue. And initially we'll have each one go around and take 60 seconds at the outset to just reflect on what you've just heard as an initial reaction, so that everyone has the opportunity to have that initial reaction and be heard for what this has meant to you. And then we'll get into a full dialogue, which is open-ended, and in which we will recognize airspace that, you know, we all need in 3 minutes, basically 3 minutes, to express your deeper thoughts and begin to see what this means to us collectively, as we've heard this amazing presentation from Mahinda and Kennedy. So let me just open it up to a round of 60 seconds each to what you've heard and how this has affected you. And what I'd suggest is that you take that 60 seconds and then you pass it on to somebody else that's on the screen that you can see. Who would like to start? Anna, go ahead.
I'm very touched by what I've heard, and I'm thankful that the Tanzania government is giving you some protection and support. I think I'm sort of thinking how unkind people are to each other and how difficult it is to be different. And it also makes me think I have two relatives who have just recently been diagnosed with some skin cancer. One, a very lovely nephew of mine, and he's got melanomas. I think all of us with fairer skins have to be careful. I think it's on the increase, the skin cancers, especially those of us who live in the sun.
You can pass it on, Anna.
Oh, right. Robert Corman.
I am both shocked and not surprised by what I see. There are places in the world where the suffering is unimaginable, and the courage of people dealing with it is a testament to their, beautiful commitment to their own life and their communities. Yes, I'm glad that Tanzania is doing something. This issue has been going on for such a long time in Tanzania, other places. And nature is not kind, and nature is very kind. And the underbelly and the strength of humanity and of nature is what it is. And so for me, my heart goes out to these presenters and their families and their communities. And I will and do feel a commitment to be supportive in the limited ways that I can and the limited ways that organizations I'm connected with can. But it is about us. It is about all of us. This kind of difficulty and the kind of fears that come of people, in this case of albinism, that lead to atrocities. So there's not much more I can say about this at this point.
And pass it on, Robert.
Robert.
To the other Robert in Uganda.
All right. I would love to acknowledge and appreciate Mahinda and Kennedy for the presentation. I think it has been really a clear picture of what people living with albinism, what they go through. Actually, the pictures shocked me when I saw some of their skin like burnt, and it gives us a calling. We people who are concerned about climate crisis to respond to this urgently. I was shocked that to learn that actually it has a lot to do, the sun has a lot to do with skin cancer amongst albinism, people with albinism. So I'm just speechless. I'm just shocked how they are so vulnerable than most of us, how we are doing nothing about it. And I'm impressed on how they are doing something about it. So it is a call to every one of us. Thank you.
Robert, do you want to pass it on to someone else?
Yes, I think I'll call on Raul.
Thank you, Robert. I would like to thank Mahinda and Kennedy for the wonderful presentation. We truly appreciate for that. Yesterday we reviewed his presentation, and from 26 slides, so he tried to consolidate in all 26 slides in just 12. So it was wonderful effort from him, and yeah, I'm speechless. Like it's horrific to see and understand the issues like albinism with climate change. It's just making me so like I actually don't have that words right now. How people can rape those who are going to fetch the water, and how these myths are coming from, like if they had sex with people with albinism, so that that will be cured. It's truly unscientific and illogical thinking, I feel like. And those organizations are working, and Mahinda and Kennedy is going through. It's like hats off to them. Like their work needs to be recognized. We need to create more space like this, so that these issues and customs get exposed to the world, and world needs to think about this. So I'm very disappointed that we are just 13 today. I don't know why we communicated but try to pull many people, but this needs to be heard by everyone. So I thank you, Mahinda and Kennedy, for your wonderful presentation. And I'm going to pass. Okay, William, are you there?
Yes.
William?
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm here. Yes, Rahul. Rahul, yes. You get me? Oh yeah, thank you so much.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you so much, Rahul. First of all, I like to say Mahenda is our hero today. It is so sad to hear that people with disabilities are really going under a lot of difficulties in Tanzania, and I think it's almost in Africa, because like in Kenya, we have a lot of problem with people with albinism. I heard that albinos in Kenya are being killed. Like I had a lot of cases, like some years back, that they are being killed and the body parts are being removed, and people sell the body parts to people from Tanzania, which are doing witchcraft. I don't know what they are going to do with the body parts. And so when I heard about Muhenda and his friend Kennedy, I'm really touched by that the story or the presentation they had, that they bring to us today. And I would like to say thank you so much for both of them. We have learned something from them, and hopefully the government of Tanzania is going to stop this bad thing. Thank you so much. And I would like to point Mr. Howard Ward to give his remarks. Thank you.
Well, this is clearly horrifying. I mean, it's something I wasn't aware of, but it's an example of why I've kind of devoted my life to dialogue, because if we don't root out this notion that we're separate from each other and that we aren't a human family, even when we hear stories as horrifying as this, there's this tendency to think it's not my problem, it's somebody else's. But we're one humanity, and we need to see this so that we're taking care of each other. And I'll pick Isaac.
Isaac, you're muted. Can you unmute? We can't hear. There
Thank you. Thank you very much. Actually, this story of albinism is really touching our hearts. What we have been seeing here in Kenya, what I've been seeing personally, they are being killed, and then their body parts are being transferred to Tanzania. And then even in government jobs, they have been sidelined.
Sad.
Frozen up.
Isaac, are you there?
Isaac, you might want to.
Albinism not the inside, I believe. They believe that I think we need to incorporate Mahanda. Are you getting me? We need to stand up with Mahanda because it's tough as the world now is experiencing something of climate change. And I think the albinism, the one being to be affected much than the other normal people. Thank you.
Isaac, do you want to pass it on to another?
Okay, let me see who is on. Let me check out. I need to point somebody here. Who is here?
I think we've never David Albert.
Oh, David Albert, I think so. David.
I've known Mahenda for many years now, and he is one of my heroes. He knows that. You know, and he's an example of somebody who faced some of the most grave difficulties, and he's managed to get himself to a place. He's actually a lecturer in linguistics at his university and working on a PhD, which again, among people of albinism is so incredibly rare. One of the things that comes up for me in this talk is the relationship between race and climate change, or in this case, color and climate change. You know, if you looked around the US, you would see the same thing, that those mostly people who are most affected by climate change are often people of color. I was also reflecting on how the story of the people with albinism in Tanzania has its similarities to the story of Dalits and tribal people in India. And again, the impact of climate change is felt much more heavily there. I have been privileged to have the opportunity to work with both Mahenda and Kennedy over the years. I posted a few pictures in the chat. But it hurts. It just hurts to think that, you know, that in addition to the burden that the people with albinism had otherwise had to bear, now climate change is now basically thrown on top of it, making things just that so much worse. And as I have to remind us, Climate change doesn't come from Tanzania, and it doesn't come from people of albinism. It comes from Europe and North America and China. And you know, these folks are suffering. Their additional suffering is due to our inability to organize ourselves in a way which is good for people. I'll pass it on to Linda.
Thank you, David. I couldn't quite understand, maybe you said it, Kennedy or Mahenda. I was very, very touched by the presentation. And again, as many have said, how it seems to mirror what we've heard from other countries around those who can least withstand the effects of climate change are being hurt the most by it. I wasn't clear why albinism was more of a problem in Tanzania. Are there simply more people with albinism there? Maybe that's a direct question, if anyone can say something about that. And I guess I was unclear how that belief came to be around albinism, that their body parts or something was going to help with whatever somebody has. Or so I guess I'd like a little more background about that, but it's certainly tragic, as all of these stories have been. And I appreciated what you just said, David, about how it's really those of us in the North, we need to really understand and take all of this in ways that will allow us to make changes in how we organize life around the world. So anything you can do to enlighten me around albinism, I would appreciate it. Let's see, has everybody had a chance to speak one time?
Haven't heard from Kelvin.
Kelvin, thank you.
Kelvin, do you want to, do you have an initial response to what you've seen in this presentation that you'd like to share? And we're not hearing from you, Kelvin, so if you wanted to sign on when you do get traction. I think we've heard from everybody, and I'll just say that I mean, I am also speechless. I don't know what the words are that to know about this, and the value in this forum that has evolved. I would say that we didn't create, it's evolved thanks to David Albert, and thanks to all of you from the equatorial regions for bringing this richness to us. And I got to say, in North America, where we had little or no understanding or appreciation of what you're going through. And this enriches our own worldview in dramatic ways. Each one of the presentations thus far, this now being the third, and I just have to say to Mahenda and Kennedy, you've given us a view into the tragedy that you face daily, Mahenda particularly, and Kennedy, in your work to help ameliorate this. And so this is an eye-opening that I'm kind of wishing that so many more people could also hear. Fortunately, we've recorded this, and but there are questions, and many of us and I'll just say in North America, we're tuned to wanting to jump to solutions. How do we solve this problem? And I think the first part of that, a la dialogue, is just listening and appreciating what you have to tell us and letting it settle in. And how do we begin to think together? How do we begin to find the shared meaning that is not only present in this particular presentation, but across all of our conversations and our dialogue? And so at this point, I think we've heard from everybody in terms of an initial response, and I just want to open it up
John, one other person, Rocky hasn't had a chance
Oh,
to. speak.
Rocky. Okay, Rocky.
Yes, thank you, John. This is Rocky Stone, the hippie. I have a question for Mahinda. The total person, the person with the struggle of albinism is truly despised and exploited. And how do we go from having this person be an outcast to all of a sudden having a body part becoming sacred, Mahinda?
Okay, so we can, thank you, Rocky. We can start with some questions maybe for clarification of what we've heard. And but I just want to make sure that what we're entering into is a dialogue in which we're sharing the deepest thoughts we have about this. And it's not just a Q&A, but
okay, well, let me change. Let me simply change it then, John. I'm shocked that someone who is despised can have a part of their body cut away from them, and then the body part becomes sacred. That's my response.
Just a question.
Yeah. Okay, great. And we might just then invite Mahinda back in and Kennedy to speak to how you have reacted to our reactions and maybe answer Rocky's question in that process. So Mahinda, I'm going to turn it back to you. And thank you again so much. This has been just an amazing insight.
Okay. Thank you. In general, the situation is not so much explainable in the way that one can understand, but the reality beliefs, the issue started with the issue of beliefs, and this one comes from the issue of economic hardship. By then, people where now they started believing that maybe these people with albinism, they are very few. Previously, it was a belief that people with albinism never die. Never die. Why? They do disappear. Once a person with albinism grow old, now he disappears. That was a tragedy. It wasn't clear. By then, there was no mass media to report this one. So it was like a story which was just created, which was not true. They were killing secretly a person with albinism once immediately after delivery, after birth. When they realized that this is the baby with albinism, immediately they assassinate that little baby. But when it happens that person with albinism grows old, becomes an adult, once now when he's old, they take him secretly in the bush, and then they kill him quietly. They were just selecting 5 to 6 very old people who are trusted in the village. Now they were just picked secretly that this person taken bush and then killed. They bury secretly. That's why they come and lie to the public that that person's albinism never disappeared. He didn't die. Now that becomes like an inheritance of stories that people's albinism never die. That becomes like the reality, what is not true. Now, because of the mass media and the reporting all the events, things changed. Once this one, these beliefs of killings, attacks, raping, some do say that when you have sex with a person with albinism, if you are HIV positive, it becomes the HIV negative. That was a rumor. Some say if you are poor, then once you go for mining, in Tanzania, especially western part of Tanzania, the lake zone around Lake Victoria, the very good area for minerals. So once the person goes for minerals in the mining, he has to go to the traditional healer, and then he has to be given some medicine or some conditions that before you go to the mining, find even the hand or the hair of the person with service, or even the teeth or the tongue. Then it has to be mixed with this traditional medicine. Then once you go to the to such minerals in the mining, you get very many of them. Get gold, diamond, so on. Some of who are living around the Lake Victoria and even the Indian Ocean, they conduct fishing activities. One again, they go for either fishing. Before they go for that, you have to go to traditional healer to check, am I going to get more fish? Bring this one, bring the hand of person with serving you. Then it has to be put somewhere in the tools of fishing. Then when they go to the maybe to the lake or to any water bodies, now they accumulate many what fish. So even for leaders, that if you want you have to compete.
Uh-oh. I think we've stopped hearing you, Mahenda.
For the particularly political any positions. Okay, do you get me?
Yeah.
Yes, we can hear you now.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you
So-
for that explanation.
Okay.
Kennedy, why don't we turn it over to you for your response to what
Yes,
you're
thank you.
these members.
Yeah, thank you. As Mahenda has been explaining, actually, Kennedy, the way I'm working with albinism for now 10 years, I'm a member of the All Board of Albinism, so I'm always attending their meeting and so on. And I go several times to visit these people because they are my friends whom I work with, where I started and fighting to make sure that these people are safe. So I evident many things, the challenges that they are facing, as Mahenda has been explaining. And now when you visit in Tanzania, you can see somehow it is somehow not much like that is why even the number of albinism has been increased. The government has been announced. So if you bear albinism baby, you have to take the baby, the infant, to the center. You can take him or her, even at any time, the night or whatever. You go and throw them at the door there. When they wake up in the morning, they can find it, take them inside. So we have some centers of caring these people with albinism. But the issue is we have the centers, but when they become the mature, they have to come back to the community. The same thing they are going to face. The infant now somehow they are a little bit have been killed because when they have been announced it, well, if you are there, just take her or him at the center, then we look after those infants. But when they become the mature, they have to come back to the community. They face the same challenge. That is why we say they are living a miserable life. As Mahenda has been said, they just a traditional belief which is not true. And this is because of selfishness. People want to get money. They don't care about the other human being. And that is what they think, that when you have a part of an albinism, you become a rich, which is not true. The readers, they are contest, they believe that when you have a part of, they are being raised by this witch doctor. So this is the reality. and I'm happy because Kuro is albinism who can say or stand out about these people because he's a man. I'm working with these people for a long time. Really, it is very, very disappointed. And that is why we say now the climate change, it seems to be the threat also to these people, since they cannot even walk, they cannot even move, they cannot even, what will they eat in their homes? No one is carrying them because they are being hunted. This traditional, especially in African society, it is the real situation that the albinism are facing, especially in Tanzania, where there are many people in albinism. So, in this dialogue, my dear friends, we can come up with what you can think it is possible to talk on, because as have been said, we tried a little bit to gather these people to be in groups to help them so that they can able to do something to end life. But the situation has changed as the days go, things change, so they remain in miserable life, and the things still as it has been explained by Mahenda. So it is very terrible in Tanzania. It is very terrible. And this is the real story. And there is much real story out of this we are talking here. When we need more information about these people, we can get it. But people with albinism has been affected much with this climate change. Now they are also dying in their homes because no one is caring them. So the situation is very bad, and we are not able to say this, but it is very disappointed, my dear friends. Thank you.
Thank you, Kennedy. And I think you're getting some wind noise in the background, maybe coming from you. Anyway, let's continue on with the dialogue. It's, the incidence of albinism, and I think those of us in North America are aware that there are occasions for albinism within the community of color that we're aware of, but nothing like the preponderance that you've explained in the thousands within Tanzania. I mean, Linda's question of why in Tanzania is this been focused? But I mean, to a deeper point is, what does this revelation mean to us as a community, as a world community, and a community connected by now communication and by heart? And I wish there was an idea for resolution, but I think, as I said, the first is to embrace what we've heard and embrace the people generally. And I think, let me just refer to David Albert's photographs that he's put in the chat, which are remarkable, and I think those are powerful. But let me just open it up, to others in terms of your own observations. What is being called forth within you in terms of the deeper thoughts about this condition, and this condition in our world, in our family, a world family? And the floor is open. You can either just wave at me, or you can do the hand raise process. David Albert.
You only learn about the general situation through the particulars. It's really what I like about what we're doing with Equatorial Voices here. Where we live in North America, we're mostly atomized. We're seeing individuals, our communities are disappearing rapidly in the face of globalization, of various kinds of globalization that are affecting us. We're losing our cultural roots. And so one of the things that obviously we need to learn from our equatorial friends is struggle for life may be close to the surface, but one of the things that sustains them is a greater sense of community than many of us have in North America. And again, we learn about this from listening to the particulars. Now, the situation for people with albinism, and Mahenda, please correct me if I'm wrong, is a little different, if only because albinism strikes semi-randomly. It's a culture, and yet it's an artificial culture, because albinism appears in all families. I mean, you might have a family that has 5 people without albinism and 1 with. And the struggle that a family has to face, should I give up my child and send them to one of these reservations to grow up, or should I keep them with me, knowing that my family may face various forms of not being cared for well within the community, I guess is the best way to say that. Facing various forms of discrimination because I have a child with albinism who has not been given up to a government center. And so this has some similarities, but it also has some differences from, say, looking at the Maasai. I was noting in the chat that in Tanzania, the reservations for people with albinism are often right next to the places where Maasai people live, on the Masai Mara, where the drought is horrific and terrible and awful. Maasai people, of course, have more freedom than the people with albinism. They can move more freely, but the situation is equally awful for them. And, you know, one hopes that someday the Maasai people and the people with albinism the victims of sexual assault related to climate change in Uganda, and the Dalits and tribal people in India. I was going to say speak with one voice. No, we don't want them to speak with one voice, but we want them to have the opportunity to speak their truth together. And if this is a beginning for that process, hey, I'm down with it.
Thank you, David. Linda.
It really occurs to me that from a deeper place, what's connecting all of us is a value system, a global value system. Not that any one person of us created it, but we're living in it. Is this sort of upside down notion that having more resources, having more means, having more money, having a better lifestyle makes us better people. So we're more privileged and we don't have to look at these things. But as we have noticed, that value system, I think, is really how we got here, because those people who have the means are able to maybe readjust how we live in the world. But with that very tight value system, they don't have any incentive. So I think what we're doing here in terms of bringing it forward, in terms of just letting people who live at all stages and at all stations of life tell their story during this climate crisis, is the first step, so that at least people can see and be told what's happening. You know, I'm told that most people at very high levels at the income they don't have any empathy. Well, I think a lot of that has to do with the fact they haven't had to have empathy because they haven't been exposed. So I think somehow the more we can get these stories out, the better. You have to first acknowledge what's happening before we can make any changes. But it's deeply rooted in the value systems that we've held, that put, you know, in this country, we say people over profits. That's just not working anymore. It's just not working.
And speaking of empathy, I'm just shocked that a person who is dealing with albinism has to worry about being hunted for their body parts.
Mhm. Thank you, Linda and Rocky. Other thoughts? Robert, and Anna, I see you waving your hand, but you're still on mute. Robert, go ahead.
Yeah, the quiet in this gathering of people, mostly from the United States and parts of Africa, is appropriate. Here we are looking at one of the graphic, most painful dimensions of human health. And then on top of it, the inability of a culture or a community to see with, as Rocky said, some compassion, the need for the other who's different, even from their own families, to be treated with a level of care. This is global. This is how we are yet to grow as a species. It's interesting that a woman in Africa who might have white skin in certain parts of Africa or Europe, for that matter, an African person in Europe, she might be seen by other Africans as, now that she's white, she has white privilege. I mean, this is absurd, but this is how young our species is in terms of its awareness. Among the Hopi, which is a tribe in New Mexico, Arizona to some degree, you'll find that the albino male is treated with enormous respect and given opportunities. Not only opportunities to not have to go in the sun, but opportunities to have priority in choosing mates. Well, that only spreads the allele or the gene and doesn't help. So I guess my question is, it begs every one of the questions, which is, the learning about this is informative, and David helps by sharing all of this, and so does Kennedy and Mahendra. But to what end? And to me, there's a real need for organizational efforts to speak to governments, and that's why I'm glad to hear something is budging in the Tanzanian government. But I always have used this expression, we're only as effective as we are informed, but I don't know how to be effective with this, other than to be able to be more articulate in some setting when the subject comes up. But how does it help? How does it help Mahendra and Kennedy and their communities for me to be more informed? It's not a bad question. It's an annoying question, but it's a real question. I'll stop there.
Thank you, Robert. Isn't it, just to comment on your observations, isn't it interesting that the Hopi tribe, which I also know in Arizona, New Mexico, values albinism as a prized condition that gets great recognition. And yet, so isn't this part of the human condition, how we view difference, And they, how do we take that in? Anna, were you waving to speak?
Well, I was earlier, but actually Robert Corman said it pretty well. My main thought was about compassion for each other and other species, creatures who are different, and see it as all one family. I think we've got a long way in developing our compassion. And I think wealth and success, the strive, greed really, and ambition to succeed, more. I think I've got to be careful because it's one of the things I've been thinking about a lot. About progress really, and the failures of it.
I just wanted to notice that Peter has joined us. Peter, I don't know if you can hear us or if you can say anything. We've all checked in. You're getting here a little bit late, and we are dialoguing after a very wonderful presentation by Kennedy and Mahenda. So if you are there and you can say a little bit about yourself, where you're from, that would be great. Otherwise, we'll just keep the dialogue going. Are you there, Peter?
Linda, let me introduce Peter then.
Peter, I think you can jump in when you can get. David, go ahead.
Let me introduce Peter.
Good.
Peter is a school teacher in Kenya. He lives in Kisumu in Western Kenya, but he actually works a bit to the north of there. And he lives in an area where malnourishment is a massive problem among the children that he was with. And he has taught several hundred families to build permagardens. And with that, in the school where he had done a little study, 75% of the children were suffering from malnutrition. There is no malnutrition anymore. None. He's eliminated it. And the families are growing, according to Peter's numbers. 45% of their food they are now growing themselves, because they used to have to buy in the market. They're now growing it through permagardens. He's also been busy building 1 or 2 rainwater catchments, I think, in his area. But Peter is a good case of what you can do with tiny amounts of resources when you utilize them efficiently. He figured out that it actually cost a total of $150 to $160 to provide permanent food resources for 25 families.
Wow.
So Peter's quite an extraordinary guy, and I'm glad to see him on the call.
So Peter, when you can come in, we'll look forward to hearing from you. I was just going to comment back to Robert's question about what do we do? How do we take the suffering and how do we take action in some ways? And I love this idea of kind of almost researching the local area, what can be done regionally. I think things are going to have to start locally around each of us. So what can each of us do to bring other people into this kind of conversation so that we start to share our resources around us and then also stay connected to the larger community? I guess I've always had this vision that we could all connect in this way around dialogue if we had interlocking circles between us. So, I think what you just said, David, is really important, that Peter has found a way to use very, very small amounts of resources to really be quite helpful in the most important ways.
other thoughts? We're getting close to the top of the hour at this point, in which we'll move into a checkout and reflections on this time together, which each one of us will have about 60 seconds, 1 minute to respond. Rocky, you've got your hand up.
John, I'm still astounded, and this feeling will not leave me. What is sacred about having a dismembered body part of someone who had albinism, having that body part in your home?
It's just a myth.
Yeah, I mean, I just a reflection of it. It makes no sense, of course. And it like so much in the world, why are people reacting and making up stories about horrific things? It makes no sense. I mean, Mahenda, you may want to respond to that. Why, how can this be?
Okay, it is unclear. No one can know because these things are done separately. The client and the traditional healer conducting their activities not publicly, that's why it is illegal. And these massive killing and attacks are not done publicly. And it is not scientifically proved that how is it possible a part of a dead person or a person with albinism can work to support someone to become rich. But it is like the belief, they do believe that, a poor belief that if a person can believe something else, for him either can work or not. It is not clear, but people have a trust on that once I get this, maybe no one can say it 100% that body part can help, even the hair, even the tongue, or whatever else. They do it like they are conducting, but once they are caught, now the government is very serious on that. They are taken to jail, the prison. It is an illegal activity. No scientific evidence that it is true that the body part of a person with albinism is a resource for one to become rich. A poor person becomes rich. It's not scientifically appropriate. Thank you.
Thank you.
It reminds me of what we do in the North around magical thinking. I mean, we have many people in North America today who deny our president was even elected. It's the same thing. It's a disinformation. It's a lie. It's something that people believe because they either see some kind of mystical benefit to it, right? And I think it happens more often in times like this, when times are hard, because people will reach out for anything that might give them a quick fix, a quick way to move out of a very bad situation. So it doesn't completely surprise me. That's why I think when we start to look for real solutions, we'll get away from some of this magical thinking.
It's unfortunately part of the human condition. William Zeno has had his hand up. And William, let me invite you to begin the checkout at this point. So not only your comment now, but what is this conversation and this dialogue meant to you?
Thank you so much, John. I'm really happy to hear my brother from Tanzania. Is just a neighboring country from where I am. From where we are Masai Mara to Tanzania is just some kilometers away. It's just like half an hour to Tanzania. You get into Tanzania, and it is the dialogue or the presentation from Mahenda just brought a lot of it has brought a lot of tension, or it is something feeling. There's a lot of feelings whereby I'm really feeling so much pain about the problem of or the challenges from the albino people in Tanzania, and I heard about someone asked about what are these people going to do with the body parts of the albino people. I mean, I heard about people, the witchcraft. I mean, I think we take these people as witchcraft who can take out the body part of peoples and sell. And once somebody maybe get this thing, is going to be rich. And that is a bit, you are lying to yourself, because once you kill someone so that you become rich, I think that will not, it is unfair. You're going to get, you're going to be killed. You know, once you do bad for someone, you get bad in another way, you know. So we are neighbors to these people of Tanzania. We've been talking about the climate change, or how we overcome the problem bring by the drought in Masai Mara. Someone mentioned about the people living in Masai Mara, or the Masai people who are living next to Tanzania. We have a lot of problem about the government. I'm sorry to say, the government of Tanzania. They have affect the Masai community from Tanzania. You know, the Masai are living in northern part of Tanzania and southern part of Kenya. We are living in southern part of Kenya. They just evict them from where they live. I think last month, like 2-3 months, you heard about Tanzanian government killing people, the livestock givers from Tanzania. I mean the Masai. All the Masais from Tanzania with their cattle come into Kenya, and now the animals, the Kenyan animals and the Tanzanian animals, I mean the cattle, are grazing in the same place. That is what brought the problem to our country, or to our area today, whereby we don't have enough pasture for our animals, because the animals from Tanzania, they just came to Kenya, or they came to Kenya to graze there. So it is a big problem whereby us as Masai, we are facing here in Masai Mara or in Kenya, and this brought by the government. So I think the Tanzanian government, I don't know, my friend Mohenda is getting me to stop this fiction from taking the Masai people to Kenya, or to evict them from their original land to Kenya, because it is bringing a lot of problem in our area. So I really recommend Mr. Muhenda and the other friend from Tanzania. Thank you so much for your great presentation.
Thank you, William. I'm noticing Robert has his hand up, and also David. So why don't we continue with the checkout, so that Robert, give us your sense of what the takeaway, or what the impact of this time has meant to you.
I'm really touched so much, because when we are ranking people who are more vulnerable, you look at a lot of aspects. We've had Rahul discussing caste and climate change. I discussed gender and climate change. Now Rahul is Mahenda has discussed, Mahenda and Kennedy, they have discussed albinism and climate change. I think, and I remember one of the mails I've been following, someone has been suggesting we use climate crisis, which is more impactful. For us, we say that if you want to change the world, it is a total failure at start. But if you are to change the world, you have to change yourself. I think it is an alarm to ours here. As we are going through these dialogues, next month we shall have another one and another one. We need to start thinking, what are we supposed to do to make the change? Because if you are looking at the solutions, you have to start with you. You should not say, hey, my neighbor do this, when you are doing nothing. And I was really impressed by some of the efforts Mahenda was trying to put to light that they have been doing. And I'm only urging us to continue with this fight, because if you want people with albinism to be saved, it means it is upon you as an individual to plant that tree, to protect that environment, stop waste disposal, to do away with all the pollution, because that small act that you are doing can create a difference. You can't preach what you can't practice. So as we, in the long run, we shall be looking at how we move on from these dialogues and how we can become more practical, how we can collaborate to make a change. We need to do that ourselves. We need to get our hands dirty to create that meaningful change. Thank you.
Thank you, Robert. Boy, you make a very strong point, and that point that you know is from Gandhi. You know, be the change that you want to see. David Albert.
So the first thing I wanted to say, and this is mostly for the benefit of the North Americans, but others will get this too, is we have magical thinking here. The simple example, of course, is, you know, if you go to the doctor nowadays, chances are you'll be treated before a diagnosis. That happens so often these days. They will provide whatever it is, the pill or the shot or whatever, or the liquid or whatever. And if you get well, that is then attributed to the fact that the medicine worked, and therefore now we can diagnose, as opposed to diagnosing first and then coming up with treatment. I see that happening to me very often. It's happened to my mother, who I've been dealing with recently very often. And this, it's basically, it's a modern form of witch doctoring. You know, if you have a bone from a person with albinism and you bring it to your house and you get rich, obviously it was because of the bone. Secondly, on a global, a much more global level, magical thinking and what we're willing to sacrifice. So I'm always pointing out to people that our EVs, our electric vehicles, are built on the blood of Black African child slaves. And we are willing to sacrifice Black African children in order to deal with our problem in North America around vehicles. Now, I'm not going to go into a spiel about which vehicle you should use, but the point is that an entire industry, a worldwide industry, is built around Black African child slaves, and who we are quite willing to sacrifice. How is that different from a body part in order to solve a problem? It's really not. Having said that, let's move off that. I've done my spew there. I have an exciting day ahead of me today. I'll be talking further with Robert and maybe with Peter, certainly with Herman, who left, and Armstrong, who's a member of this group. But I have been working, oddly enough, I have not been working on dealing with albinism today, but dealing with malaria. And there is a plant that's grown in Kenya called the Pyrethrum daisy, which is exported to the US, and that's how we rid our Gulf forces of malaria. But you can't buy it in Tanzania, in Kenya, or in Uganda. It's all exported to the US. Well, I think I may have got the beginnings of a solution to that. So I'll be talking with you. But these kinds of talks drive my work. You know, you folks are the folks that give me hope. You give me attachment, you give me family, you give me the reason to keep moving on. And so I thank you all so much.
Thank you, David. Robert Corman.
Thank you, everybody. I think it's one thing to call it magical thinking, but underlying the magical thinking is a different motivation, and it's really important to point out. And that is that the body part, the doctor that David just talked about, the motivation of Bill Gates and major foundations to support industrial agriculture across Africa, which causes enormous stress on all the African communities and causes enormous amounts of the climate change in the world, is the commodification of things. If you commodify a body part, you can make money on it, That's a motivation. And then you don't get to what Robert is, my other Robert here from Uganda, his point is start with yourself. You're not going to get to it if you're buying into the economic dynamic that makes you feel like you'll be more secure in the world if you have more money. And the same thing is true with the movement of the Maasai. 73,000 Maasai are moving. Well, yes. Why? Because there's different possibilities for that land. Different possibilities that can make somebody money, mostly the hospitality industry. So let's keep in mind that these are realities. One of the major forces in Africa that's not helping is the Green Alliance for I guess the acronym is AGRA, which is creating so much of the farmlands being poisoned by fertilizers, pesticides, and herbicides. So the example that we heard, the beautiful example that we heard of from Peter or whoever it was, I'm sorry, about being able to feed all those families, there's many, many examples like that, and they're very important. But there are groups out there that are pushing back. And as I've said in the previous conversation, I think it's very important to understand the Alliance for Food Sovereignty in Africa, which is pushing back against all these things. And being able to align with them gives me hope. I think it helps those farmer leaders and other community leaders who are able to engage with that. So I'm grateful to have been here, and I'll pass it on to someone else, John.
Robert, thank you so much. Very deep thoughts. Others in checking out. Linda, do you want to check out?
I would like to. And I appreciate what you said, Robert. I think your organization and our organization has a lot going on that's similar. And I do believe that we just simply need to share and expose the worst abuses of things like industrial and corporate agriculture, what they're doing to everyone around the world. Because if we can't feed ourselves, then the human species is simply going to go away. So there's some really fundamental things that get in the way of our value system to making decisions. I think that's what I'm going to take away from this conversation. Our value system just is all mixed up. We're looking at profits over people and not how we all are sharing the world, and we need to do it more inclusively. And this is such a perfect example of how that is not happening. So thank you everyone for coming today. This has been very rich, really touching in to the albinism issue in Tanzania. I'll never forget this conversation. Thank you so much, Kennedy and Mahenda.
So other checkouts. Raul, we haven't heard from you, or?
Yeah, first of all, I would like to thank everyone for this amazing discussion. And the discrimination happened with albinism people in Tanzania. I can completely relate with the situation in my country, because we too have people with albinism, but it's a systematic discrimination set up by the society or community or kind of structures they have followed in even in Tanzania or in other part of world, or in the India also, because people may get benefited from their body parts, and it's like industry they set up, and because of this, the mindset of people like that, and the climate change is impacting on their body. So it's horrible, and we can have a kind of collaboration with cross countries peoples, those who are working in this sector, and how to connect what practices and the things they are doing, so that everyone can benefit it from that. I truly appreciate Mahenda and Kennedy for their work, which they're doing for the people, and I thank you everyone for this amazing conversation. Yeah, over to you.
Thank you, Rahul. Anna, I wonder, did you check out already, or do you have a final word you'd like to put in about this, what this has meant to you?
Right, it's meant a lot. I thought pyrethrum had been banned long ago. When I first went to Kenya, my uncle was farming pyrethrum and many other people. And then they were told it was illegal to tear it up. It was a pesticide and it was bad for the country. So I'm very interested to hear that it's good as a defense against malaria. The other thing that I can say is that I'm really glad that I've been to many of the places you're from. I know the Masai Mara. The first people looked after me when I went to Kenya were Masai herdsmen on this farm. I've been to Tanzania. It brings it very close to me. So thank you very much for telling us your stories.
Yeah, Anna. I want to reserve final words also from Mahenda and Kennedy in terms of how you have felt from this time. That we have listened to you, we've heard you, we hope you feel embraced. Mahenda, what are your comments?
Thank you. Generally, I appreciate the way the conversation is done and the contribution of ideas from each of us. And this is really a very serious thing. This is not like any story, but it was not easy for me to decide which picture to share. But sometimes because I trust the dialogue and I believe that we are going to address the problems and provide some ideas for us to work on the ideas. And because we are already having the initiatives of how we address the problems ourselves among the association of Tanzania Association, we are already addressing the problem within the areas of which we are facing the challenges. And it is a turning point because among the person who are addressing the realities, I am the one from coming from the group that I'm now talking about. So I'm talking the things which I do experience from my childhood, my education board. Now I'm working my career. So to explain the nature of my story, because when I'm telling you this, it's like I'm talking about myself. But how comes now a little baby with albinism, now maybe another one is born today, so after 50 years to come, how now the climate change will also again come to affect the same person with albinism? We better now come up with tangible solutions, permanent, even some short-term and long-term goals that will remain the remarkable changes that we have been doing through this conversation. I will also request some of the members, if you come to Tanzania, because there are some stories which are not shared. This is like a piece of the information I'm sharing, but there are things or information are not shared publicly because are touching more than the way everyone here has been touched. But I appreciate that I feel like I'm cooperated, I am included, I'm an inclusive dialogue that explaining the thing that is touching everyone. Thank you so much for your ideas and contribution. Thank you.
You're most definitely included in this dialogue. And so let me turn it to Kennedy. Kennedy, your last words in terms of how you feel heard in this time. Kennedy, are you still with us? Wondering if you're muted. I'm wondering if you can speak.
Hello?
You
Yes.
unmuted. Okay.
Okay. First of all, I'm very sorry because I'm facing challenges in network, but we are together with our dialogue. First of all, I would like to thank you all, even to give us this chance to talk about Tanzania, especially people with albinism. I think much has been explained. I have heard a lot from some friends, their suggestion. I think because you are still continuing, as has been said, especially for those people who have already affected. They are already affected from various circumstances. So we have to look on the situation, the solution, despite of dialogue on this climate change. But we have already affected, our friends have already affected. So we keep on thinking everyone according to what and how he feel or she feel on these issues. All in all, I thank you all for listening us, and I thanks the one who reading this conference. I wish you all the best for what you are focusing on. Thank you.
Thank you, Kennedy, and thank you again for your part in this presentation. Has everyone had a chance to check out?
I think Robert hasn't, and Rocky might have some last words.
Robert actually did at one point. Robert, do you have anything further that you wanted to say? I think we heard a checkout from Robert. But
Yeah, I did. I just appreciate everyone for being here and for sharing this knowledge and listening in.
Thanks, Robert.
Robert, let me just say thank you to you and Rahul for your organizational skills and helping bring these presentations, particularly this one. Rocky, go ahead. Your checkout.
Yes, everyone here knows by now how I've been affected. I've suffered with skin problems my whole life, and the thought that someone would like to make money by taking one of my body parts and selling it, I just can't get over that. I'm very affected by it. I'm still glad to know that that occurs. I would much rather know the reality of every place, and thank you for sharing that.
Thank you, Rocky. And so from me, I am so touched, and I'm grateful for this forum, which allows us to go deeply into each other's realities. And the benefit for those of us who here in North America and are not dealing with the challenges that those of you in other parts of the world are dealing with. This is so much of what we need to understand and hear. I wish we had a much broader audience, and we'll figure out how to do that. We have made the recording. I'm just, as I said, very moved, and what stands out for me is how we don't embrace difference in ways that are meaningful, and to Linda's point, which really express values. How do we examine our values? So let me just say thank you to Mahinda and Kennedy for bringing this forward, and for Robert and Rahul for your support in bringing these presentations. And we have another one coming up. Let me just refer you to several things. One of which is the chat And if you don't know how to save the chat, which is going to those three little dots on the bottom right of the chat function, I'm saving it anyway, and we'll send it to you. But particularly the photographs and the references that have been placed in the chat are important. The next thing to note on our schedule is we have another training specific for dialogue, 2 hours on
November 3rd.
And 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. and same link.
If I can just say, it's a wonderful time not only to learn more about dialogue, because we'll try to make it as realistic a dialogue as we can. And the only way we really can learn dialogue is to practice it. And I found last week to be very, very, a very intimate conversation where we really start to get to know each other. So I encourage any of you to come and let those of you who know others who would like to learn dialogue know about it.
Indeed. And then November 17th, we have the next presentation. So Robert and Raul, you will let us know what's up on that. So we're on time for closure. So thank you to all for being here and for your contribution. The depth of reflection in dialogue. This is what dialogue is about, is how we reflect from the heart, how we take it in, and how we learn to think together about what to do.
Thanks so much.
Linda, any further
Nope,
thoughts?
that's
I think we're done. Thank you all for being here, and thank you all for what you've given us.
Yeah.
Blessings. And
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Blessings all. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Linda,
Okay, thank you. Bye-bye.
John, I'm just going to take a quick break and I'll come right back.
Okay.
Hi, hi, John. I'm
Hello.
still here.
Mhm.
I think
what we might do is, because we need to just kind of close out for all, and I don't know whether others are leaving the meeting, but I think maybe we.
I think it's only the three of us, isn't it? No,
Well-
I think William's here.
And Anna, why don't you just sign on to the same link in another few seconds?
Okay.
All right, I'm going to go ahead and end the meeting at
Same
this
link.
point. Okay.